The first thing that comes to mind when I think of the brand Longines is wow, they have put out a load of reissues over the past few years. One thing I will say about the brand versus other companies doing the same, for some reason it doesn't seem to be getting stale, for me at least. The watch I have in today is the Silver Arrow, and I will admit, when I first saw pictures of this watch when it first came out, it didn't really grab me for one reason or the other. But now that I've had some hands-on experience with the watch, it might be one of my favorite dressier reissues they've put out in a long time now. It's a simple watch but with some nice details. Big thanks to my local authorized dealer, Gem Bijou, for lending it in. They've been really good about getting some very cool watches in my hands to share with you guys. If you're shopping watches, check them out at gembijou.com. So let's get straight to it and take a look at the watch. Now, the original Silver Arrow was released in 1956 and was named after the Silver Arrow German race cars of the time. Apparently, the name came by way of a Longines employee contest to name the watch. I haven't quite figured out the exact connection, but even though it was named after a race car, we have a jet etched into the case back. Not a particularly impressive case back engraving, but I guess they're trying to stick with the original there. So, one thing with this watch versus some of the other reissues from the Heritage Collection is the case proportions. A lot of them tend to be a touch long in the lug to lug measurement, and in almost every video I've done on these watches, it's the most common complaint with them. But this one I think should be a crowd pleaser, and we'll get to those measurements here in a minute. One standout with the watch is those fluted markers. They give the watch an interesting look and offer some great light play. They actually help quite a bit with legibility, with how, no matter what the angle, some of the facets are almost always catching the light. Up at the 12, we have the applied logo below Longines, and then that beautiful script reading Silver Arrow just above the 6. The print work is very clean and crisp. The dial itself, according to the Longines site, is described as silver, but it'll go from silver to a white to almost a creamy tone depending on the lighting situation. The handset looks sharp and are true, or at least mostly true to the original. There's a thin sliver of lume applied down the center of the minute and hour hand, and also loomed markers at each hour. And considering how little real estate there is for lume, it's actually not that bad. The case is simple in design, but looks good with that wide bezel contrasting against the thinner lugs. It's fully polished to a nice finish with the sharp lines along the beveled edge of the lugs. The push-pull crown is signed. It's on the smaller side, but suits the look of the watch, and it's still easy enough to grip and use. Good winding action, and we'll just pop the crown out here and adjust the time. The movement is the caliber L888, which is a modified at a 2892. It beats at 25,200 vibrations per hour with a power reserve of approximately 72 hours. Size on the watch is just under 38.5 millimeters in case width. Lug to lug is 47 millimeters. The thickness is 10 millimeters, including the slightly raised sapphire crystal, and the lug opening is 19 millimeters. Longines, for some reason, does a lot of those odd-sized lug openings, but that's the measurement on that. Water resistance on the watch is 30 meters. As far as wearability and comfort goes, the watch feels great on wrist and it looks really good too. One con with the watch, because it is completely polished, and especially with the wider bezel there, it is a smudge magnet. At first glance, I thought it was one of the more boring releases in the Heritage line, but now that I've had some in-person experience with it, I feel the total opposite. I'm personally more into sportier watches, but this is a very good addition to the Longines Heritage line. Cost on the watch comes in at 2,100 USD. Here north of the border, that's 2,700 Canadian. If you're looking for one, don't forget to check out gembijou.com. Thanks again to them for lending it in. And guys, if there's any watches they carry you'd like me to get in, let me know and I'll do my best to make that happen. Appreciate you stopping by today, and we'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.